Hi, I'm Michael Matasek.
And I'm Kristin Barnett.
And welcome to this month's edition of Eye on New Paltz. This month's features will be Unification Day,
Health and Fitness,
a story on recycling,
the campus radio station WRNP and WFNP,
and a story on HEINZ, MENG'S, FALCONS. Right up next, Eye on New Paltz. New Paltz is a very diverse place with its people, places, and events. And in January, the college at New Paltz attempted to bring its students together in one unifying day. Joe Muccio has a story.
Hi, I'm sitting here in the multi-purpose room in the Student Union Building. On January 27th, I witnessed an extraordinary event, the first SUNY Unification Day. It was a remarkable day where hundreds of people came together for one common goal, unity. I'd like to share my experiences of that day with you.
People began the day by signing up for various workshops while being greeted by members of the Student Association Executive Board, including SA President Jason Black.
Last semester there was a lot of problems on campus, as you may be aware. There were a number of incidences that took place during the course of last semester that really began to split the campus and was really dividing us as a community, and people were beginning to not talk to one another, and people were not trusting one another. And so the intention of the day is to begin to bring people back together and to begin to do what really is a healing process in essence, because there's a need for us to sit down face to face and really communicate to one another and understand who we are as individuals. And so people are going to be here throughout the day. They'll be listening to the speakers, and there'll be workshops where they can talk and express their feelings, and we'll begin to try to develop some understanding of one another as human beings and as very different peoples, but with some very common interests.
Things got underway with a brunch featuring various speakers, including President Alice Chandler, SA Vice President of Finance Harry Bonsu, and SA Senator Jason Margolis, who speaks about the conception of Unification Day.
Unification Day came about as Mr. Harry Bonsu and I sat down and talked about how the mood of this campus had become bleaker and bleaker progressively as last semester was going on after the Hasbrook incident. And we sat down 2 or 3 times a week, starting in the beginning of October, and thought up what this campus needed to get back on track. And progressively, we came to this.
The highlight of the luncheon was its keynote speaker, Ramsey Clark, perhaps best known and respected for his work in the United States Justice Department during the 1960s. The former Attorney General supervised federal protection for civil rights marchers in the South, as well as spearheading the drafting of the Voting Rights Act of '65 and the Civil Rights Act of 1968. Mr. Clark shares with us a few words on peace, freedom, and unification.
Back in 1920, Wells wrote that it seemed to him that civilization, that is, human existence, was in a race between education and catastrophe. And I think by education he didn't mean how many college degrees you had, but what you really knew and understood and lived on. And we learn too late. We come at things with a crisis orientation. You have to start working from day one and keep working. But we've seen how quickly things can change. I mean, look at the incredible change in the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe. That if you'd said that this would happen this time last year, people would have said you were absolutely crazy. They said the same thing about blacks voting in the United States. It was inconceivable in 1965, when the Voting Rights Act was passed, that we would have a black congresswoman from Houston by 1970 or a black congressman from Atlanta by 1970, and we had both, Andy Young and Barbara Jordan, and it made Jesse Jackson possible. We may have done 1% of the job already. If we just get to work, we'll get the other 99% done pretty quick.
The energy exhibited here today is surpassed our wildest dreams as far as what we thought we'd see, how well we felt people would open up in the workshops and share with them their thoughts, their concerns, their stereotypical ideas about ethnicity on the campus here, ethnicity in the world around us. I think Ramsey Clark brought out some great thoughts on that ethnicity goes beyond the boundary of a nation or boundary of a college, that it is an international problem. And that we all have to take a look at what we're doing as part of a more global perspective on the area of ethnicity. That sparked a lot of energy into those workshops today, and the people who have come out of them, I think, empowered to maybe offer a difference here on the campus.
Several participants shared with us their feelings on how Unification Day would affect the college community.
Hopefully, from this program, people talking about it will start other ones and workshops and other ideas like this. So I think it'll affect the campus in a very positive way. I don't think it'll solve all our problems, but it's certainly a step in the right direction.
Unification stands for the unifying of everybody on this campus, whether it be blacks, whites, Latinos, anybody and everybody. It's very important, and even though New Paltz is just a small microcosm, it's a start on changing the world, and I think that this world needs to be unified.
The highlight of the evening was the inspiring speech by its keynote speaker, Dick Gregory. Gregory is known worldwide as a comedian, author, activist, and philosopher, always ready to mobilize for social change. In the 60s, Gregory used comedy to open doors for black entertainers and was a major force in the civil rights movement. He continues to be an influential and eclectic voice in the fight for peace.
I'm on college campuses all the time, but few college campuses I'm on and see this type of healing taking place. And I would just hope that the community would learn something, from high schools to grade school to corporate America.
To those of you who decided to put your energy together and share this coming together, unification, healing process. Because had you not decided to put your energy together, the rest of them wouldn't have mattered. So to you and you and you, we say we thank you and God bless you and peace be with you.
Later on in the evening, there was a unity dance featuring the band Innovation. They were a perfect end to an historic day of friendship and unity.
New Paltz students like to spend their leisure time getting in shape and staying in shape. Up next is Ghia Cohen with more.
Health and fitness is important in today's society. Everywhere you go, all you see are people running, jogging, aerobics, doing anything they can just to get off that extra weight. Coach Donovan, Director of Athletic Training here at SUNY New Paltz, informed this Eye on New Paltz reporter just how to get started on any kind of exercise program.
Well, they should get themselves into a state of readiness slowly. If you went into high-impact aerobics, I mean, the first evening, I'm sure the next night you wouldn't be back. You would be so sore. No, you should get into, if depends what your thing is. If it's aerobics, then you should be doing some loose setting up type of exercises.
Such as walking around the track a few times.
Walking around, jogging around. And then when you get warm, particularly warming up, it's very important that the body warms up.
What do you mean by warming up?
Warming up is to get the heart rate up to a decent level where enough blood is being pumped out of the heart to the periphery of the body, so that the legs are receiving a good amount of blood, because keep in mind the blood carries the oxygen. Without the oxygen, we're not going to function.
One of the most popular fitness activities on campus is aerobics, which is held every evening and is run by students. Also popular is racquetball, which is an energetic and fast-paced sport. It tests your ability to keep your eye on the ball and your racket in your hand.
I kind of feel racquetball just helps me break tension of studying and just helps me concentrate, and I can use my mind and everything.
Students wanting to increase their physical strength and tone their bodies often come to the weight room.
Even if it doesn't look outside, it helps your mind. Like, you know, it makes you feel stronger about yourself.
Feel better after working out.
You start imagining muscles. You're like, yeah, it's working, even if it's not working. I like working with the guys, too, because they help you out a lot. You know, nobody makes fun of you when you come down here. Like, the girls like get usually worried about coming down, but they're really cool. They help you out. They show you what to do.
I ran today, which I like running better, and then I hurt myself. So I'm like working on my muscles, and I did aerobics to get a different cardiovascular, you know.
Coach Owens, director of the Well Fit Lab, took time from his busy schedule to talk to us about the main purpose of the lab.
We're open for students, faculty, staff, even community, people outside of the college community. And we do body composition. Some people refer to it as the fat lab, and but it really isn't. We determine an individual's body composition, their ratio of fat to muscle, their lean body mass muscle quotient, and their fat quotient. We take blood pressures. We monitor blood pressures. We can tell them what the numbers mean, and we write exercise prescriptions, and occasionally we even take a universal pin and take them down into the animal kingdom down there, the weight room, and teach them how to pump iron.
But how is the Fit Lab beneficial to somebody?
Well, for example, let's say you told me that you wanted to lose 10 pounds, and for some reason, without sounding chauvinistic, women will say, I want to lose 10 pounds, 10 pounds. And you can say to them, why 10 pounds? Why not 7.5? Why not 15? Why not? And by using body fat calipers and taking a skin fold, we can determine how much fat they really have on their body, and establish an optimum weight. We can get an ideal weight and give them a true goal rather than just plucking numbers out of the air.
How do you find the percentage of body fat?
We measure 3 sites. We measure triceps, we measure subscapula on the back, and we measure suprailiac, which some people call love handles. And oftentimes people will say to us, but you're not measuring me where I'm fat, but it's a percentage of body fat that we're looking for. And once we have the percentage, we can take that individual scale weight. And then we can multiply and get pounds of fat, subtract the pounds of fat from the scale weight, and we have muscle.
The ultimate goal is to lower the percentage of body fat. The only way to effectively reduce your percentage is through low-intensity aerobic activity. For example, walking, jogging, biking, or swimming is a great way to begin. Eventually, you should build up your endurance and the duration of your activity. Here at the Bubble and Elting Gym have flexible hours to fit most people's schedules. Coach Donovan and Coach Owens informed us on how to get started, what exercises is appropriate, and how to get involved. So if you want a great-looking body before spring break, exercise is the key to open that door.
Waste disposal has become a major problem in American life today, and with that, the concept of recycling has become widespread. New Paltz is no exception. The college has just begun a new recycling program on campus, and Rob Murray is here to tell you about it.
New Paltz is facing a problem. The problem is waste. We are simply producing more garbage than we can dispose of. The college and the community are taking steps to fight this problem.
Town is mandating that we recycle right now, and if we do not recycle, we'll have to look for alternate sites to take our trash.
SUNY New Paltz has started a recycling effort. Students and faculty are now participating in the separation of trash in order to reduce the waste of recyclable material. Our landfills are overflowing with garbage. We must act now in order to slow down this process.
There's a need, a definite need for recycling, and the time is now, because Earth really belongs to all of us, and we have to start thinking about how to be wise with how we use the environment, because we can ruin it. We can ruin our own drinking water by the things that we put in the landfill.
Although the main reason for recycling is to help our environment, Rich Cow, resident assistant of Gage Hall, tells us there are monetary reasons involved as well.
Right now we pay $40,000 a year to get our garbage carted off to a landfill. And if we continue doing that, it would quadruple. It would be $160,000. And that's going to be in a matter of a year or two. So if we don't make this a successful campaign, then we're going to be paying some serious bucks.
We know the reasons why recycling is important. But how does one participate? There are silver receptacles in each of the residence halls for metal cans, clear glass, brown glass, and green glass. There is also a room for cardboard and newspapers. And in the campus office buildings, such as the Student Union Building, blue bins are labeled for newspapers, magazines, office paper, and computer paper are available for source separation. The question is, are the students using these receptacles and bins? Are we recycling?
I'm very pleased, especially in the academic buildings and in most residence halls. There are still a lot of area that needs to, for improvement, but I did not expect as much cooperation as being seen right now.
There should be a lot more that should be participating in the recycling project for themselves and for their world.
A lot of people are really, they're not doing what the best that they could do. You know, they just don't care. But I've always thought, you know, this is an important idea, and I think it's about time that the school's finally doing something about it. Because it's not just a school issue, it's really a global issue that people should start considering.
Recycling is still in its early stage. It's not meant to be a chore for people, but rather a habit. People need to educate themselves and find other ways to combat this problem. Reuse of non-recyclable materials is another way that one can assist in the recycling effort. For example, resident assistant Rich Carroll uses cardboard to make postcards and ice cream containers for plant holders.
Every time I go to the Sub or the Rat or somewhere to eat, I bring my own silverware so that I don't keep using plastic silverware and throwing it in the garbage every meal. Because just imagine it, 3 meals a day using plastic silverware every meal. It's ridiculous.
For other ways one can help, and for more information on campus, contact the Office of Residence Life in Capen Hall or the Nightberg office, 322 in the Student Union Building.
Why not recycle?
I thought the campus radio station was WRNP. Now I hear all this talk about WFNP. What's going on? Maybe John Cariglio has some answers for us.
Hi, I'm here on the 4th floor of the Student Union Building, in front of WRNP WFNP, the campus radio station. The 4th floor is home to many organizations, including the campus newspaper, The Oracle, SA Graphics, and the Student Government. Yet here is the rhythm of the campus, where you can hear the newest music and the latest news. In fact, the most exciting news of all... Wait. Let's go in and find out, shall we? WRNP's 64 AM has been the radio station for the college at New Paltz since 1972. While the station has undergone many changes, including a move from the basement of College Hall to its luxurious offices on the 4th floor of the Student Union Building, WRNP has remained a student-run organization. WRNP is now going through its biggest change of all, finally acquiring an FM license.
Everything's out in paper. It was out in Broadcasting Magazine that we got our license and our construction permit to start building, and June 1st is the tentative date. We're waiting to get written confirmation from WMHT in Schenectady to finalize it, but definitely by next fall, but June 1st for right now is what I will say is the startup date for FNP.
RNP, our AM station, is strictly alternative music. And that's where we like to keep it, I think, for the next couple semesters, or maybe even for good. I'm not sure. It's sort of a trial basis. The FM, WFNP, pretty much is still alternative music as well. However, we do have some specialty shows that are blocked into our format as well. We have from 7:30 to 11 o'clock every night, Monday through Friday, we have block programming. We have Monday, I believe it's reggae, we have world beat, we have jazz, folk music, and that's sort of what differs the FM from the AM as far as programming is concerned.
We're looking into doing folk music and women's issues in one show, Latino show, contemporary black problems in the Hudson Valley area, things that are not already being catered to by the existing radio stations in the Hudson Valley area.
We asked technical coordinator Will Roby about the history of WRNP's quest for the FM license.
In 1979 was when the first effort was put forth to really get the station going, to start doing the research and getting everything done for the FM license. 1984 was when what I call the second push started going, and in 1986 the CP was filed.
Once the station goes FM, it will reach a 15 to 20 mile radius with 230 watts of broadcast power emanating from WPDH's tower in Highland, New York. Some of the people most excited about the upcoming FM license are WRNP's hardworking staff who cannot wait to start working at a real FM station.
I'm really psyched because I'm going to be here up here over the summer, and I'll be around to do news directing and whatever else I could do, because we're going to be a little short-staffed, but I'm really psyched for having such an expanded audience compared to, well, very limited numbers now to, you know, into the tens of thousands of people listening to us. It'll boost our egos a lot and get us working a lot harder, so I think it'll be really good for the station. Finally give people a little more, I don't know, inspiration, I guess, to be good on the air.
I think it's going to be a really hard job to get everything together, but I think once everything's organized and together that it's going to be really great and it's going to be really cool.
So what's in the future for WRNP WFNP?
We're on a really top-notch, first-rate college radio station. To really, even to shake up the commercial stations in a way, maybe eventually to see PDH start playing bands we're playing because we've gotten such a hot response from it. You know, down the road, PDH say, gee, maybe we ought to start playing Killing Joke, or maybe we ought to start playing whoever we're playing. That's just an example that came to my head, but that's what I would see the future of this radio station as.
To us, birds are an everyday part of life, but to some people, birds are fascinating and interesting animals. Michele Seligman has a story about a man and his birds.
Here at SUNY New Paltz, we have a professor who is one of the world's foremost leading experts on the peregrine falcon. He has dedicated a large part of his life to the preservation of these beautiful but endangered birds. This professor is Dr. HEINZ Meng.
We visited Dr. Meng at his home, where he shared with us his past achievements in introducing the peregrine falcon back into the wild. Dr. Meng has made a lifelong study of predatory birds and has had years of practical experience as a falconer.
After we learned how to breed these falcons in captivity, of course, the next step was to release them back to the wild. And of course, the young ones, if they were to be released back to the wild, could not be imprinted. So we couldn't raise them by hand as we raised some of these other birds. So these young had to be raised by other falcons so that they were afraid of people. And we raised quite a number of those. And the first experiment of releasing them back to the wild occurred on the New Paltz campus in 1974. And at that time I had two young falcons that had been raised by other falcons, so they were afraid of people. And I built an experimental hacking box on top of the faculty tower. It's just a little cage affair, and we put the young falcons in there a couple of days before we thought they could fly. And I continued putting food up there, but they didn't see where the food was coming from. And then at the time we decided to release them, we opened the hacking box up, and the young falcons started flying around the top of the faculty tower. But of course, they, at that time, couldn't catch their own prey. So we had to supply them with food for about 4 to 6 weeks until they could catch their own prey. And this is what happens in the wild. After the young falcons start flying, the adults keep bringing food to them. And as they fly better and better, they start chasing each other, and eventually they catch their own prey, and by 4 to 6 weeks, then they become independent. I like to bring in live animals to class because it stimulates student interest. Of course, in courses in field biology, we go out in the field and we see lots of live animals. But in those classes where we don't have the field trips, it stimulates interest to have an actual live animal to see what they're like. And in fact, this can save birds a lot, because if people see what these animals are like, they're less likely to want to shoot them.
Dr. Meng not only entertains us here at SUNY New Paltz, but he has also been a reoccurring guest on Late Night with David Letterman.
Thank you. If I'm not mistaken, this is the first time we've ever had falcons on this program, and my next guest is the first scientist to ever breed them in captivity, a professor of biology at the State University of New York in New Paltz. Please welcome Dr. HEINZ Meng. Doctor, nice to see you. Thank you. We have two examples of falcons here.
Yes, we do.
Are these birds endangered in the wild?
Yes, they are, and they've been bred in captivity now and released back to the wild.
In fact, one that was released in New Paltz is breeding on the Verrazano Narrows Bridge now.
No kidding. So you're optimistic about their comeback?
Yes, okay. We are.
Well, that's good. And they apparently get quite close to the city if they're just up the river on the bridge, huh?
Yes, they feed on pigeons, and there are a lot of pigeons in New York City.
In his spare time, Professor Meng enjoys painting the birds he admires so much.
I was interested, of course, in painting bird pictures. And after I caught this peregrine falcon, I really wanted to do a good picture of it. And I'd seen bird pictures in some of the bird books painted by Audubon and by Louis Agassiz Fiordes, who's a real famous bird artist.
Professor HEINZ Meng has been at SUNY New Paltz for almost 40 years. During that time, he has done everything he can to preserve the endangered peregrine falcon. Dr. Meng shares with his students and colleagues his love and knowledge of wildlife.
Thanks for watching Eye on New Paltz. If you have any future story ideas for us, please send us a note to Eye on New Paltz, care of the Campus Media Center, sub 309, or
call 257-3098. Thanks for watching.
See you next month.